UFC Vegas 107. This is the official betting video. How we doing, everybody? My name is Young Pasty, and I'm here today to give you all of my official bets for the card coming up this weekend. I'll give you all of my parlays. Yes, the parlay section, everyone's favorite section. We'll be talking my leans, so specifically fighter money lines, over and under on rounds, and method of victory props, and then lastly, my stayaways. Now, as we always do, guys, we have to recap last week, actually 2 weeks ago now, since we had a week off. UFC Vegas 106, pulling the results up here right now. And, man, unfortunately, it was a losing week that week. The 3-pick parlay came through. Honestly, that was my most confident play of the week. So, shoulda, woulda, coulda, right? But that was the only one that hit for us. Thiago Moises. Never betting on that guy again. Sadiq Youssef, definite ring rust, and Myron Santos just looked like 2 times bigger than him. And then we almost cashed on bet number 2, but Mateusz Camillo choked in the second round. I mean, he put on a great first round, but you need to win the fight, right? So overall, minus 1.5 units. Honestly, not that too bad of a loss. The damage control, was okay. We're looking for positive weeks, right? We want to win money. So let's get that crap out of the way. Let's move on to a better foot here. UFC Vegas 107. And after this week, June and July are stacked, guys. So we'll have lots of great betting opportunities then too. So stick with me here through the rough. And let's have a good week here for UFC Vegas 107. If you guys are new to the channel, or if you haven't, we are on the road to 300 subscribers. So click that subscribe button, click the like button, throw a comment down there. The support goes a long way. Secondly, Patreon is free. Okay, links in the description. That's where you can get all of my bets and my parlays when I place them. It's free. Okay, links in the description. Go check it out. The odds usually sway in the opposite way come fight time and the bet video here. So let's get into it, guys. The official bets for UFC Vegas 107. Now, we sort the official bets by confidence, so bet number 1 is always my most confident play of the week, and then it moves on down from there. So let's get to it. Bet number 1. We have Mateusz Gamrot, minus 166. We are putting 2 units on it. That's right. The 2-unit slapper has come back. Odds are currently sitting at minus 162, so essentially the same number there. I initially, when I saw Ludovit Klein at plus money against Mateusz Gamrot, my eyes lit up. I said, oh, I'm going to be hammering this. But then I watched some film, watched some tape, right? And Gamrot's going to be way bigger than Ludovit Klein. I mean, in my opinion, in the octagon. Ludovit Klein hasn't seen the wrestling threat or the pressure that Mateusz Gamrot has in his arsenal, right? His striking has been improving from fight to fight. In the UFC, right? He has lots of experience, was a KSW champ for a while. So I think Ludovit Klein it's his biggest step up in competition for sure in his whole UFC career, but it's just a big step up in competition in general, right? His last fight against Roosevelt Roberts. Now you're fighting Mateusz Gamrot, who's, a top-ranked opponent, who was a backup title fighter at one point, you know what I mean? So it's a large step up in competition. I think Gamrot's going to pressure him, wrestle him, take him down. Ludovit Klein will probably be able to get back up, but I think Gamrot will be able to take him back down. Some striking exchanges. I think Ludovit Klein will have some moments, but not enough to win the fight. I got it 29-28. I think Gamrot's going to win it by decision. So I think the pressure and the wrestling, it's just something Klein hasn't seen. I'm not saying he's not up for the challenge, but Gamrot will keep it coming and coming and coming. I'm not worried about the chinny issues, okay? He's been knocked down and gotten back up, okay? Yeah, sometimes they aren't good looks, but we got Gamrot, the 2-unit slapper of the week, minus 166. We move on to bet number 2. We got Macy, Chiasson, minus 115. We're putting 1.15 units on, and it's currently sitting at minus 120. Macy has the momentum, okay? I think she's been improving from fight to fight to fight. Now, Ketlen Vieira is going up against, some tougher competition, but it just seems as if she's been fading in these fights, right? She's not putting out enough volume, not having enough moments. I think Maycee Chiasson's going to pour on the volume. I think she's going to win the exchanges in the clinch. She has good knees, great elbows, good pointy elbows that do some damage. And the striking exchanges probably go back and forth. I think Maycee Chiasson can get the better of them, though. It's going to go all 3 rounds, in my opinion. Will be a close fight. It will be a close fight, but I am certain that Maycee Chiasson has the edge here. So, minus 115, 1.15 units on it. That's bet number 2. Let's move on to bet number 3. And if you're new around here, bet number 3, the 3-pick parlay of the week. We find 3 good legs, put them all together to get a good number. So, we got Balaji, we got Zach Reese, and we got Erin Blanchfield. We are putting 1 unit on it. It's sitting at plus 162. Current odds are at plus 160. I got it for plus 162. Again, go peep the Patreon. That's where I put all my bets in when I place them. So the odds are a little bit lower, but people are going to be betting heavy on Balaji, Reese, and Blanchfield come fight time. So the odds are probably going to get way lower than that. Now, Balaji going up against, gosh, I don't even remember this guy's name. I got to pull it up. Michael Aswell Jr., a Dana White Contender Series guy, which was dang near a year ago almost now, who is moving up in weight, 10 pounds up in weight, right? Taking this fight on super short notice, going up against a heavy hitter like Balaji. Michael Aswell has good volume, but he doesn't put anything behind his punches, right? Like he doesn't really have that knockout power, in my opinion. Balaji does. Balaji's been preparing for this fight, and I don't think Michael Aswell, he's getting his UFC shot here, right? But Balaji is just, I think, leaps and bounds better than him. So Balaji by knockout, in my opinion, for that particular leg. The second leg, Zach Reese. Dusko Todorovic is just, call it a glass chin. I don't even know if there's anything more fragile than glass. Give that title to him, because he has been living and dying by the KO. He has been getting rocked in all of his fights. Like, the best thing on his resume that he can really say is that he went 3 rounds with RoboCop. And you lost the fight still. You know what I mean? That's your most impressive thing to brag about on your resume, is that you lost to RoboCop and you went 3 rounds with him. Anyway, Zach Reese, much bigger, stronger, more athletic. I think he has a lot of power in his hands. Now, things that worry me about Zach Reese, himself are a little chinny too. I don't know if these are unlucky kind of knockouts, you know what I mean? The Bakoyev knockout, that dude is a monster. So, and then the Cody Brundage knockout, yes, a terrible look, I will admit it, but his head got slammed in a weird way and he was out. So, usually when people do those slams, they're not knocking you out, you know what I mean? But it was directly on his freaking head. So I don't want to say give him a pass for that, but I'm not going to give him too much grief about it. That's what I'll say. So I think he has heavy hands. I think Dusko leaves his chin up too much and likes to brawl, and Zach Reese will find the shot. So, and then the third leg here, Erin Blanchfield. She's gotten to the point where it's, almost, hard to bet her straight up. You have to put her in some kind of parlay piece, you know what I mean? And she is a nice way to cap off the 3-pick parlay. So Erin Blanchfield going up against Macy Barber, who I respect and like. She's a Colorado girl. She's tough. She's a dog and she's scrappy, but I think Blanchfield has more 5-round experience. Obviously, this is Macy's first 5-round fight. I think Blanchfield has the wrestling advantage. We can compare levels of belts, right? But we've seen Blanchfield's wrestling and top control show against pretty good competition in the UFC. So, and she can stand with Maycee Barber, okay? I don't want to say the whole fight, but she can hold her own in the striking, you know what I mean? I think people are sleeping on Erin Blanchfield's striking and getting goo goo gaga eyes over Maycee Barber's pretty good striking, you know what I mean? So Balaji, Zach Reese, Erin Blanchfield, 1 unit. We're putting 1 unit on it for plus 162. Let's go. 3-pick parlay of the week. We move on to bet number 4. And we're going with an underdog here. Jafel, Filho, the pastor, plus 130. We are putting 0.75 units on it. It's currently sitting at plus 124. Allan Nascimento coming off a long layoff in the UFC. And I think Jafel Filho has more strength. I think, if these guys are like, submission artists, right? Love to get the fight to the mat. If anyone's going to get the fight to the mat and be on top, I think it's going to be Jafel Filho. If the wrestling negates itself, or, wrestling and submission threats negate itself, and it's just a pure striking fight, then I think Jafel Filho is tougher. He just kind of has this, like, junkyard dog, scrappy kind of vibe when it comes to the striking. Is it the cleanest? No, right? I mean, but neither is Allan Nascimento. Nascimento is probably going to be a little bit bigger. Not a little bit. Quite notably bigger than Jafel Filho, but Jafel Filho can hold his own. He's more active in the octagon. I think he's stronger. I think the submission threats are there. I think his top control is amazing. When he gets people to the ground, I think his takedowns are pretty nice too. So the only thing I really don't like about Jafel Filho is when he sits there on his butt and people are standing up. He wants to play this jiu-jitsu game. I hate that shit. But Jafel Filho, plus 130.75 units. That is bet number 4. We move on to bet number 5. We have Erin Blanchfield plus over 13.5 minutes in the fight. Minus 150. We are putting 0.75 units on it. Now, this is something I'm testing out, guys. I do believe Erin Blanchfield is going to win the fight. And honestly, this is the first time, I guess, I've seen, or maybe just looked into it, there's minute props on DraftKings at least. So 13.5 minutes, right? That is the second round, 3.5 minutes in. So a little bit over 2.5 rounds. I think that is quite doable. I think Macy Barber is going to at least get to the third round. Again, just testing it out. Not a full unit, 0.75 units. And it's also why it's bet number 5 here. So something I need to test out here first with the minutes play. But as I'm looking at it, it's a solid play. I like it a lot. So Erin Blanchfield plus over 13.5 minutes in the fight. Minus 150.75 units. Let's go. And the last official bet number 6. We have Rayan Dos Santos plus Jordan Leavitt plus 100. We are putting 0.5 units on it. It's currently sitting at minus 105. Yeah, I have full faith in both of these fighters to get the job done. Alice Ardeline is not very good. Super hittable. I would say maybe she's a little more like stronger and bigger and maybe able to get like trip takedowns and like hold you on the ground by just laying there. But Dos Santos, I think, is better in the jiu-jitsu. I think she has much better striking. I think she has a lot more power. Yeah, she's going to be a little bit smaller, and she's been robbed in her past, previous fights. But I think she gets the job done here. If she doesn't beat Alice Ardeline, then goodbye, Dos Santos. I don't have any faith in you. You should leave the UFC. Jordan Leavitt. I know he's coming off a long layoff too, but he's going up against Kurt Holobaugh, and Kurt Holobaugh is known to lose these very close fights. I've put faith in him too many times. And this is kind of a half fade on Kurt Holobaugh and a half me liking Jordan Leavitt, because Jordan Leavitt's actually pretty nice. Kurt Holobaugh is super sus to getting taken down. Jordan Leavitt's a pretty good grappler. Jordan Leavitt has pretty good kicks. He's decent in the striking. Okay, I think his striking is a little bit underrated. I think people give him a lot of crap for it because, he doesn't really use his hands too much, to be honest. Throwing kicks like crazy. In the wrestling and the clinch and things like that. So, but yeah, I think both of those fighters get the job done pretty easy. Plus 100, we are putting 0.5 units on it. I was debating on putting either of these guys in, maybe a combo or in the 3-pick parlay, but ultimately, when Balaji got booked with the new fight here, I had to put him in the 3-pick parlay. It just made sense. So, those are the official bets. 6 bets for you guys. So, again, that's what I got for you. So pick and choose what you want and how much you want to put down on them. And now we head to the parlay section. Everybody's favorite section. Now, just do a little mini recap of last week. Okay, let's pull some tickets up here right now. Okay, we hit a little mini parlay. Tisha Pennington, Bellotto, Yadir Del Val, minus 115 should have been the Bellotto leg got voided, unfortunately, but hey, we'll take a win there. The other parlay, we hit a good one here. We smacked a good one, guys. Tisha decision, Denise Gomez KO, Myron Santos decision, plus 1306. We'll take it, guys. Okay, so if you put the same amount on all of my parlays last week, 2 of them hit, you would have been up. Okay, so I'll just leave it at that. But as we move into the parlay section, guys, I love all of these legs individually. So if you see a leg that you like, put it in individually. Okay, because a lot of these legs I love individually. I might have put them in on the side here, not officially. So, and then secondly, these are just parlays. Okay, don't be betting the house on them. Don't be putting huge units on them. You know what I mean, right? Me personally, I put like a quarter unit on all of them. You know what I mean? So let's get to it. Parlay number 1. I call this the rounds parlay. So we have over 2.5 rounds on all the following fights. Gamrot versus Klein, Dos Santos versus Ardeline, and Vieira versus Chiasson. Plus 106. I think all 3 of these fights at least go over 2.5 rounds. They're probably going to go the distance. So, even money, plus 106. That is parlay number 1. Moving on up to parlay number 2. I call this the should get it done parlay. Okay, we got Jordan Leavitt, we have Erin Blanchfield, and we have Mateusz Gamrot sitting at plus 240. So, 3 fighters I'm pretty confident in that are going to get the job done. So, moving on up to parlay number 3. I call this the most likely to happen parlay. So, Gamrot decision. Ludovit Klein's tough. He's going to go all 3 rounds with Gamrot. Gamrot's going to get the edge. Reese KO. Dusko Todorovic has a glass chin. Okay, he's going to get the KO. He's going to find it. And then lastly, Billy Goff KO or decision. Because, I don't know. Something tells me that this fight could go distance for some reason. Maybe Ramiz Brahimaj has got it in him to go all 3 rounds with Billy Goff. But on the other hand, Billy Goff has that relentless pressure, and Ramiz could just succumb to it, and Goff could get the KO there. So I wasn't very, certain on the spot. But anyway, all 3 of those legs sitting at plus 350. That's the most likely parlay. All right, parlay number 4. I call this the Decisionator parlay women's version. Okay, we have Dos Santos by decision. We have Chiasson by decision. We have Blanchfield by decision, sitting at plus 641. Parlay number 5. The LGL parlay. Okay, give me Leavitt decision. Give me Andreas Gustafsson. And then give me Bruno Lopes. Plus 890. Almost 9-1 there. Parlay number 6. I call this the Magic plus 1300 parlay. Okay, we hit a plus 1300 parlay last week. Let's hit one this week. First leg, fight to go the distance. Giles versus Gustafsson. Second, Reese KO. Third, Jacoby decision. Plus 1320. Honestly, I think the hype around Gustafsson is a little too much and wild by everybody. Yes, he's aggressive. Yes, he's a machine. Yes, he just keeps coming and going forward, and the pressure's insane. But why are the odds only like plus 130, plus 140 for Giles? Right? Like, why is that there? You know what I mean? Gustafsson is coming off a neck injury and surgery too, so keep that in mind. But yeah. Okay, not necessarily surgery. I'm not sure on that, but yes, a neck injury. But I think Giles is tough. Yes, he's taking this fight on short notice, but it's one of those spots where this is this guy's UFC debut. I think he's getting a little too much hype and a little too much love. The odds aren't even showing it, you know what I mean? So I think the fight's going to go distance. I think Giles can take him all 3 rounds, or Gustafsson may not be able to take him out in the first round. Giles is tough and can hang in there for 3 rounds with him. So Reese KO, we already went over that. Dusko, glass chin. And then lastly, Jacoby decision, right? Going up against Bruno Lopes. I think Lopes is tough. I think Jacoby's a little bit older. I think, yes, the power's still there, but I think he can go all 3 rounds with Lopes, and he can, edge out a win by decision. So plus 1320 for parlay number 6. Now, the last parlay of the week, guys. The degenerate long shot cycle parlay. We have Giles by decision. We have Filho by sub. And we have Goff by KO. Plus 7,154. 71 to 1 odds. Okay? Let's get it. Giles decision. He can get it done and go all 3 rounds with Gustafsson. Gustafsson's tough. But Giles, Giles been there, done that in UFC, right? Maybe the pressure of the UFC debut and the Giles experience, Giles can edge out a win. Filho sub, I think that if that fight goes to the mat, Filho definitely has the edge. His top control and the wrestling and the grappling is pretty dang good. So, and he has some crafty submissions. And then lastly, Goff KO. Come on now. Ramiz Brahimaj. It could be KO or decision, but this is the degenerate long shot cycle parlay. Okay? So we had to throw a KO in there. I think Goff KO in the first or second round is pretty live. Honestly, more likely second, right? Break Brahimaj down in the first round, come out and lights out in the second round. So 71 to 1. That would be crazy. But those are my 7 parlays of the week. Again, I love all the legs individually. Pick and choose what you want, mix and match what you want, fade me if you want, but we're here to make money together, so let's get it. We move on to the leans section. Leans, so bets and plays I'm considering, but I have not put official money on yet. So things I like, but it's not official plays. So first we'll start with the money lines. We got a couple this week, so first is Trevin Giles. Sitting at plus 140. Look, why is he only at plus 140? Everyone is showing love to Andreas Gustafsson. Everybody is. Everyone's on that side. But the odds are not showing, and the number's not increasing. It just doesn't make sense to me. It's just kind of a little bit iffy. So I like Giles' experience in the UFC. Yes, it's this fight's on a little bit of short notice, but I think he can weather the storm in the first round. Gustafsson may tire himself out. And Giles may be able to take over from there. So, secondly, Bruno Lopes, plus 154. Yes, my official pick was Dustin Jacoby. But that doesn't mean I'm not going to bet the other side. I do think Bruno Lopes is live to win the fight. I don't know. He went 3 rounds with that Gadzia Zulov guy. I think that's how you say his name. Yes, it was boring, but he got edged out the win, right? Maybe he can do that same game plan with Dustin Jacoby. I don't know. Again, the odds aren't telling me that Dustin Jacoby's gonna just flat out take out Bruno Lopes. I think it's gonna be a tough fight. So Bruno Lopes plus 154. Those are my only 2 kind of leans on the money lines this week. We got a lot of official plays in on people, so. Next, over/under on rounds. First, over 2.5 rounds in the Gustafsson versus Giles fight, plus 114. I think the fight goes distance. It does. Giles is tough. I don't think Gustafsson's just going to run him over like a bulldozer. I don't think that's going to happen. And maybe it's the other way around, right? Maybe Giles weathers the storm in the first round and takes over from there. So plus 114. Don't even need the fight to go to distance, right? Okay, go ahead and get a last 1 minute, 2 minute finish. You know what I mean? So next, under 2.5 rounds for the Nascimento versus Filho fight, plus 130. Yeah, look, I said I like these leans. They're plus money here. Nascimento's live to get a finish too. I think Filho gets a finish, but Nascimento is too. So you're getting plus 130 to get either of these guys to get a finish under 2.5 rounds. So I think that's pretty live when you have 2 submission artists and a guy who has pretty decent power on the feet. So next, over 4.5 rounds in the Blanchfield versus Barber fight, minus 230. I think the fight goes distance. These ladies are pretty tough. They're pretty elite. They're going to go all 5 rounds in my opinion. I know it's Macy Barber's first 5-round fight, but I think she goes all 5 rounds with it. Minus 230, more of a parlay piece, right? You could bet that straight up, but that's just a little too pricey in my opinion. So a nice little parlay piece there. Lastly, over 2.5 rounds in the Gamrot versus Klein fight, minus 290. Again, another little parlay piece there. Both of these men are tough, okay? And Gamrot's been decision for a while, other than some fluke KOs, which really are just injuries, which he may have caused, you know what I mean? So are they fluke? One maybe. One fluke maybe. And then Ludovit Klein, dude's tough. Great boxer, has lots of experience. He can, I just, does Gamrot get finished for the first time by Klein? I don't think so, you know what I mean? And Klein's tough too. I don't think Gamrot's finishing him. So minus 290. That's like a little parlay piece there. Next, we have the method of victory props that I like. So, first, Reese KO, minus 110. The KO is just likely. I have him in a couple of parlays. Dusko, Todorovic. He lives and dies by the KO, and he will die here by the KO. So minus 110. Now, if you think Dusko's tough and you like Zach Reese, his decision is at plus 800. That's pretty dang juicy. And, I mean, look, we've seen Dusko go 3 rounds with RoboCop. I know that was years ago, but something to consider. So, and Zach Reese went 3 rounds with Jose Medina. You know what I mean? So, who has a freaking brick chin, steel chin, compared to Dusko, but nevertheless, plus 800 for that. Next, Gamrot decision, minus 110. You get a little bit better odds if you don't like the money line, sitting at minus 166. If you don't want to lay a little bit more chalk, this is his most likely outcome to win this fight is by decision. Does he get a KO? I don't think so. Does he get a submission? Oh man, that would be crazy, but I don't think so. So, minus 110 for Gamrot decision. Blanchfield decision, minus 110. Again, I think she gets the job done. And Maycee Barber's a tough girl. I think they go all 5 rounds with this. It's probably going to be, 4 rounds to Erin, and then 1 round to Macy. I think Macy can pull out 1 or 2 rounds. So, Blanchfield by decision, minus 110. Leavitt decision, Jordan Leavitt, plus 137. Kurt Holobaugh's tough. Dang near all his fights go to decision, unless he pulls off a submission or something. But Leavitt's gone to decision a lot too. So really, Kurt Holobaugh's tough. Jordan Leavitt is powerful, but his style is wrestle and grapple you for 3 rounds. Try and find submission, but Kurt Holobaugh's pretty defensively sound when it comes to defending submissions. So plus 137 for Leavitt decision. This one I do really like. I might put a side play on this. Filho by submission or decision, plus 220. If Filho gets a finish, I do think it's by submission. I think he is way better on the mat than when it comes down to Nascimento. But if they're wrestling and grappling, nullify themselves, I think this fight will go all 3 rounds. And, Filho will, end up getting the nod by decision with his better exchanges in the fight. So, plus 220 for that. Next, Giles decision, plus 375. Why is the number so low? Right? Again, it just, in my head, I'm like, these lines don't make sense on the Trevin Giles fight. They just kind of iffy to me. So, plus 375 for that. Lastly, it's my degenerate call with the Reese decision too. Bruno Lopes, plus 800 by submission. Bruno Lopes submission, plus 800. Dustin Jacoby really doesn't see too many wrestling or grappling threats throughout his career, and he has shown to have pretty good takedown defense, but Bruno Lopes can mix that in. And he has had submissions in the past. It's just something to consider. It's a pretty good number. And I don't know. Holding Jacoby up against the fence, taking him down, maybe an arm triangle, right? Maybe he gets the back somehow and pulls out a rear naked choke or something like that. I don't know. I see situations where Lopes can snag on to Jacoby, snatch him up, and somehow, in some way, find a submission. Plus 800, so. All right, those are all my leans. Now, lastly, my stayaways. So these are bets and plays I recommend you stay away from and don't put your hard-earned money on. Now, first and last, I really only have one. The Billy Ray Goff money line. Sitting at minus 370 now. That number is terrible, right? If you're going to bet Billy Ray Goff, do some sort of like method of victory or do something with the rounds or something like that, because minus 370 for him, I just think, he will win the fight, but like I just don't think the odds are justified here. I think Ramiz is getting counted out way too much by the odds makers here. People are probably betting heavy on Billy Goff, but I don't see him as a minus 370 favorite at this point. You gotta show me a little bit more, especially in that fight against Trey Waters, where it's like you are exhausted in the third round. Yes, you keep coming forward, but like everyone says you have good cardio, but it's like, do you have really good cardio when your punches and shots are really not really doing anything? You just keep moving forward. I don't know. Yes, he made it to the third round, and it was a high-paced, high-volume fight, but that's why I say minus 370 is just a little too expensive for my taste, the money line at least. So, and then the Dustin Jacoby money line, minus 210 now. I really don't like that either. Again, if you're gonna bet Jacoby, I'd do some sort of method of victory prop, because minus 210, I just don't think that's justified. So those are my stayaways. Those are my two stayaways: the Billy Goff money line and the Dustin Jacoby money line. All right, guys, that is it for the official betting video for UFC Vegas 107. If you've made it this far, thank you so much. Again, click that subscribe button. We are on the path to 300 subscribers, so appreciate any support. Goes a long way. And lastly, Patreon's free. Links in the description. That's where you can get all of my bets and my parlays and all of my plays before this bet video comes out and when I place them, okay? Get the odds when they're good. They always sway in the opposite way. So, let's have a good week this week. Young Pasty, out.